All right, we're here with Dr. Lydia, and we're going to ask her just a few questions about kids in chiropractic. We see obviously a lot of kids that come to the practice over the years, and she really has honed in on a focus and a niche with that. So, Dr. Lydia, what, I guess, kind of give people an idea, like what got you into wanting to focus more on kids?
Yeah, actually, I really didn't even want to focus in on kids when I first started.
I don't blame you.
They are so complex, and they have so many different things that could happen that is completely beyond like what an adult would deal with. And I felt like, oh, that's what every female within the chiropractic realm was going for, because that was just assumed. Like, you should be good with pregnant women and pediatrics. And it wasn't until like I got into a program called Birth Fit, which is what I'm doing now, that I really learned about how birth in America has transitioned, since it first started back in the 1800s, right? And it wasn't until then that I really realized, like, holy crap, there are so many things that go on, not only with birth, but with kids in general, that the way that it's changed, people have no freaking clue. Not only that, but they don't even know, like, what questions to ask. Or after my baby's birthed, like, they're just like, all right, we'll see you in 6 weeks. So I really wanted to be that person that honed in on, like, you can ask me questions, or like, I want to be able to direct you to where you need to go within your child. And just realizing how smart kids are in general is a huge thing. People just think, oh, it's a baby, they don't really know anything. But they are so intelligent, and majority of their development happens within 12 months postpartum. So like, they're developing so much activity and all these different things that, like, sometimes people just don't really catch it because they think my child is perfect. And just so having that other set of knowledge, or like, am I doing this correctly, or just like reassurance that you're a good parent, is kind of the big thing. So that's really what started this, and that was probably 6 months ago that I really started honing in and doing more research and like getting involved and really helping with kids in that sense.
For sure. So it's not just the physical piece, but also the mental component of being a parent as well too, with it. That's great. So kind of explain to people as well too, like, how is chiropractic different with a child than an adult?
Yeah. Most of the time you see like that usual neck cracking, or like, I always say, I know I'm not slamming your baby or anything like that. Really, it uses just like your fingertips, and you either use just like a little vibration, or it's like the same pressure of if you're checking the ripeness of a tomato. So it's really simple, it's easy, it does not hurt them. Most of the time, babies will sleep through it, kids will sleep through it. Most of the time I adjust them when they're playing with toys. So it's really simple, and they don't typically are even bothered by it. You don't really notice. They also respond to care a lot quicker than adults do as well, because although they're running and they're jumping and they're falling and everything like that, I mean, they don't have all of the other crazy stress that adults do. I mean, they still have their mental and emotional stressors, but they don't have like, can I afford groceries this week or something like that?
Yep.
So they can respond a little bit better.
That's awesome. And that you said kids are just in a different stage of life than adults are, so you have to take care of them different. Kind of a question that I think we all hear with regards to kids is like, why would I bring my kid in to begin with? Like, what are those triggers? What are those things that should spark a parent to say, you know what, hey, I need to get my kid to a chiropractor?
Yeah, for infants, it's like things like reflux. So they're getting sick after they've eaten. They're not sleeping throughout the night. They're colicky. Constipation, ear infections, or especially like when kids get involved in sports. That's really a big time, because they're going through all of that training and different aspects like that. So really getting them checked out in that sense. Those are kind of the big ones. There's another one, like after a baby's born, you might see that their head is tilted one way, so they maybe aren't feeding on one side of the breast, or you just don't feed on the opposite side because they don't like to turn their head that way. Different things like that. There's a lot of different reasons that people typically don't think, or even headaches, like in little kids. Kids should not be getting headaches. So that's a big one too. Yeah,
that first trauma a child has of birth is such a significant thing that needs to be addressed. I guess lastly on here, like any good stories you've had, like success stories with kids over the last X amount of time.
I had a 10-year-old who came in. He was born partially deaf because he had a traumatic birth. They ended up having to use forceps to get him out. So he had a lot of learning disabilities. He had lost oxygen to his brain for a really long time. And they had gone to chiropractors before, but they just hadn't really seen many changes. So they came to me because we were specialized in pediatrics and pregnancy. And so he came in, and after 2 weeks, so he was also one who was like very hyper, never really would like calm down, always just wanted to like run around and talk during classes. And after 2 weeks, his teachers were actually emailing the parents saying, like, asking what they did, because he was finally paying attention in class. He was learning. He was actually like developing and growing the way that he should. But then he also had a test where he did a hearing test to see, okay, can he recognize words? Can he also spell them? Different things like that. And his cognitive power had increased by 20%. And that was only in 2 weeks. So that was a really big one. Another one was a child who was nonverbal. It was like they could register and like you'd say, okay, yeah, like I know that you're speaking to me, but they never really responded. And so a lot of times they thought like hearing was involved. And so then he started responding. He was happier. He was able to actually start talking too. So he started to say his first word, and that way he was 2 years old at that time. So that's kind of a big thing too. And then just another one is parents who only get like 20 minutes of sleep throughout the night. And after that baby's first adjustment, he slept for 4 hours. So it's really cool just to see the different things
and
that
so
can happen.
Such small things are such a big thing for a parent and for that child,
for sure.
actually long-term wise with it.
Yeah, sleep is a huge one, especially for first-time parents. Like that mom just feels like she's going to lose her mind. And then you go down the route of like, oh, well, you're depressed, so here's a medication and here's this. When in reality, your baby's trying to tell you something. That's the biggest thing. Like kids can't tell you something hurts. You have to go based off of their cues. And as a first-time parent, a lot of times you don't notice those cues. Or even a second child. No child's ever the same.
Correct. So as a chiropractor, you learn to pick up on stuff like that and address the cause of the problem, fix the cause, therefore the symptom, not only the child's symptom, but the parent's symptom goes away as well then too at that point. So
for sure.
Awesome. Well, this has been great information, and hopefully people take heart to this and also get their kids in here and get checked out by you.
Yeah, for sure. Come see me.